ज्ञानियों के शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, मेरी आस मेरे श्वास तुझ में ही समाए। साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verses 21 to 30.
कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते, पुरुषः सुखदुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते, पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्ते प्रकृतिजान् गुणान्, कारणं गुणसङ्गोऽस्य सदसद्यो निजन्मसु, उपद्रष्टानुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरः, परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तः देहेऽस्मिन् पुरुषः परः। य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह, सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयोऽभिजायते। ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना, अन्ये साङ्ख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः यावत् सञ्जायते किञ्चित् सत्त्वं स्थावरजङ्गमम् क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञसंयोगात् तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरम् विनश्यत्स्व विनश्यन्तं यः पश्यति स पश्यति समं पश्यन् हि सर्वत्र समवस्थितमीश्वरम् न हि नस्त्यात्मनात्मानं ततो याति परां गतिम् प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तारं स पश्यति
In the 27th verse, oh, sorry. Milind has a question. What is the difference between value, judgment, and opinion? Milind, these words are used by different people in different ways. As far as we are concerned in the class, okay, it may be different people will use them in different ways. You may have some meaning of it. What do you understand by the term opinion?
It's my view.
Your view. And what do you understand by a value judgment?
That is also you.
View. Okay.
But I think this is right. That is also view, no?
Okay. Now, of course, I mean, it's a language, and language is used by different people in different ways, as you have studied. You studied, how do you know what you know, right? So it's a good thing for us to establish terminology, because different people will use the same words to mean different things. So now when we are talking about opinion here, we talk about it in our class in basically in two very different contexts. In one context, we use the word opinion as in the wise opinion of a saint who has based that opinion on eternal laws of life. It's called matam in Sanskrit. I mean, iti me matam, you keep hearing of it in the Gita. In Sanskrit also, it's used flexibly. Okay, so that's one context in which we use opinion. That means there's a saint, there is a wise person. He knows the eternal laws of living, but when he's talking to us, then he gives that portion or that practical application which is suitable for the person he is speaking to. So that's one use of the word opinion. The other use of the word opinion, which we often do, is to differentiate opinions from facts. Most of us have opinions and very few of us have facts. So we must be able to distinguish whether what someone is saying to us and what we are ourselves saying is an opinion, that means somebody's view of a situation, or a fact. Okay? So these are the two contexts in which we use it. So you're right, it is your view, but dependent on whether it's based on facts or not, it is a sensible view. All right. Now, what is the value judgment? A value judgment is a subset of opinion. It's a type of opinion. What is that opinion? It not only tells you what is something in itself, but also tells you your opinion of that something. If I say, Milind, you're a short person. Okay, let us say for argument's sake, you're 5 feet tall. I mean, I know you're not, but let us say for argument's sake that you're 5 feet tall. And I say, Milind, you're a short person. This is a value judgment. If I say Milind is 5 feet tall, that's a fact. When I say he's short, I'm not only telling you a fact, I'm also telling you my particular view of that fact. That's called a value judgment. So when a mother-in-law says, oh, this girl, she's a very stubborn girl. She's giving you a fact. She's also giving you her version of that fact. Her mother, the girl's mother, will say, my daughter is very consistent. She's also giving you a fact. In fact, both of them are giving you a fact. They're giving you the same fact, but they're telling you their personal opinion. That personal opinion about it means whether you like the fact, don't like the fact, all that sort of stuff is called a value judgment. Okay? So opinions we have no option but to have, but value judgments we must at least be discreet in expressing them. If you cannot help having them, at least be discreet in expressing them. Okay, is that clear?
Okay, thank you.
Of course, again, to repeat, people use words differently. And so these are not fixed terminology. That's just the terminology we are using. Other people may use it in different ways. But it's good for us to know in what way we are using it here, so that we are all on the same page. Now, last time we did verse 27. What did verse 27 tell us? A very, very simple, easily comprehensible idea that whatever being is born, moving or unmoving, that means if you can see anything in this world, okay, you can see it, hear it, taste it, smell it, touch it. There is some being, means Sattvam. Sattvam means the existence, in any form of existence that you see. In English, it's a little difficult to, what should I say, translate. Sattva is just existence. Sattvam, just existence. Which obviously, in English, you translate it as being, as in this thing exists, in that sense being, not as in a living being, but in the sense of this thing exists. Whenever you see something existing, you know that
Spirit plus matter is equal to individual living being.
yes, not just living being, any existence. Everything is a combination of spirit and matter. If everything is a combination of spirit and matter, why does it all look so different to us? It all looks different to us because the matter element is different. The sage and the saint and the sinner, both are nothing but spirit and matter. But the spirit is exactly the same in both. The matter element is different, and therefore it appears different. Just as if all manifestations are electricity, light and sound and heat and everything is electricity, why do they appear different? Because the gadget, the material equipment is different. So similarly, everything appears different to us because the matter element is different. But the spirit is exactly the same, no matter what sattvam it is. What sattvam means, what object it is. Either living or unliving, either trees or plants or humans. What is the nature of plants? Plants are mostly body with very, very trivial amounts of mind. You have to do very strong experiments and have very delicate and sensitive equipment to understand that the plant is feeling. Okay, because it's mostly body with traces of mind. What is animal? Animal is body and mind and traces of intellect. The animal feels, and you know that the animal feels. You don't need an experiment to find this out. You will easily see the dog will wag his tail, the cat will walk away. You understand fear, love, all these emotions. You see this in the animals. But there's very little intellect. Traces of intellect. How do you know there's intellect? There is some basic discrimination they're doing. Your dog can tell, now this is a family member, this is a stranger. The dog can tell, can be eaten, this cannot be eaten. Basic discrimination. So, plants are mostly body with traces of mind. Animals are body and mind with traces of intellect. Human being, body, mind, and intellect. Now, this body, mind, intellect, all three of them are the matter equivalents. And hence, we are all different creatures. Even amongst human beings, we're all different from one another. Right? So, homogeneous principle, spirit. Heterogeneous principle, matter. Same. Same pinch, self. Alag, matter. Okay, that is what verse 27 said. Now, who is concerned with this? A Bharatarshava. Bharatarshava means Bharat represents the Bharatiyas, and amongst the Bharatiyas, you are the Vrishabha. Vrishabha means the bull, a person dedicated to service, who understands that life is more about giving than about taking. Because that's how the cow and the bull live. They take so little from us. But look at what they give us. They give us our milk and our mithai and our rabdi and our ghee. All of this is coming from the cow and the bull. So that's why the Indian mind worshipped the cow and the bull, because it was symbolizing the principle that a human being should live with, which is maximum output, minimum input. The demands are so few, and the amount of service you're willing to do is a lot. Such a person is a Bharatarshava. Arjuna was like that. He went out, he won wars, he brought back money for the country. He didn't go out and make so much money for himself. All his money, all his conquests, the money went into the coffers of the state, as used to happen in them. So, you are a Bharatarshava. You are a service-oriented person. Please understand, everything here is a combination of spirit and matter. So Arjuna must have looked at Krishna and said, okay, so I've understood everything in this, so ab main kya karu? He must be feeling like that. So in the next verse, Krishna says, what is the significance of this idea? Verse 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinasyatsva vinashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinasyatsva vinashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Okay, so everything is a combination of spirit and matter. Every sattvam, every object, every being, everything is a combination of spirit and matter. So what? अब मैं क्या करूं उसके बारे में? If your question is like that, obviously Arjuna must have looked at Krishna and said, okay, chalo, hoga. So what? So he says, samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Samam, same. Sarveshu bhuteshu, sarva bhuta, all beings. Tishtantam. Tishta, statista to mean to be, to stay, to be. Parameshwar. In all beings. Samam, equally. Parameshwara abides, lives, is. Every time you see anything, you feel the presence of the Lord because the Lord is there. Samam sarva bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Vinashatsu. Avinashatsu. The vinashatsu, that which is capable of vinash, stays in the avinashi. That which is not capable of vinash. The matter is the component which will change, which will perish, which will move. But the unchanging, avinashi, that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be changed, lives right there. So when you begin to see it like that, matter plus spirit is equal to individual. Very boring. But when you understand it, you understand that you're permanently in the presence of God. So you look at your world with a sense of worship. And that's how the early Indian always looked at his world with a sense of worship. And therefore, whatever he named, he gave the names of God. You know, where it was Lakshmi, knowledge was Saraswati, and so forth. Hanuman was strength. Everything was divinity. Because he looked at his world life. It doesn't mean there are so many gods. It means there is God in all things. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. You understand Parameshwar, the supreme God. Samam, same. Sarveshu bhuteshu, in all beings. Tishtantam, he abides, he stays, he resides. Where is God? Not in Mecca, Medina, Balaji, Tirupati, not there. Right here. Not that he's not there, he's there also. But he is here very much so. In everything that you can perceive. He is a wise man who sees this. Yapashyati sapashyati. Somebody says, no, it is not so. Can you argue with that person? No. So the Lord says, there's no convincing anybody. He who sees it, sees it. If you don't see it, you don't see it. If you see it, you cannot lose that vision. And if you don't see it, you cannot gain that vision. What can anyone do? So, what is he trying to tell us in this verse? Suppose you have to say what this verse is talking about. It's talking about the consequence of understanding the previous verse. Right? So, what is the consequence of understanding the previous verse? Can you tell me in one word what this verse is trying to say? One word.
Eternal.
Oneness.
Oneness, identification, love. If you really understand that every sattvam, every being, every object, moving or unmoving, is a combination of spirit and matter, then is this object also, no? Every object, including this one. Then you begin to see that the self in them and the self in me is exactly the same. There's no difference. And therefore you create a feeling of oneness, a universality of affection, a devotion, as it were, towards everybody and everything. Because you see the presence of the Lord. He who sees the Supreme Lord abiding equally in all beings as the imperishable among the perishable, he sees. The nature characteristics of an individual will change, but the self within him stays ever the same. Today somebody is good to you, tomorrow the same person may be bad to you. And the third day he may again be good to you. Today he may be angry, tomorrow he may be loving, the next day he may be angry again. All these changes are taking place. But there is something stable there. There is an Avinashi there. Why don't we keep our sights on the permanent rather than the impermanent? So much reaction to the impermanent and no reaction to the permanent. Does that make sense? Imagine this. Just think in your own mind. Suppose something is going to be with you for 5 minutes. Okay? And something is going to be with you for 5 days. Which thing should you pay more attention to? Obvious, no? Suppose now I am catching a flight and my flight is delayed by 10 minutes. But where I'm going to stay for 10 days. So should I get all worked up about these 10 minutes where the flight is delayed and spoil those 10 days there? Makes no sense, right? I know there's a 10-minute delay, chalo yaar, 10 minute mein khatam hone wala hai. And focus on where I have to go. Because that I'm going to be there for 10 days. This is only 5-10 minutes. And yet, if you notice, if there is a delay, do we think about our destination and our stay there? We only think of the 10-minute delay. And when we think of that smaller portion, what do we get?
Agitation.
Agitation.
All agitated, isn't it? Does this kind of living make sense? If that thing is not going to last with you for more than 5 minutes, why put so much energy behind it? Isn't that a more sensible way to live? To keep looking at the bigger picture, the longer view, the more permanent thing. No, this flight is really irritating me. Okay, then get irritated. क्या कोई कर सकता है? Momita. But this hinges on faith. Why, Momita? Why does it hinge on faith? You are there, your flight is delayed for 10 minutes. You're going to the US and you're going to stay there for a month. So what is the use of spoiling that month because of this 10-minute delay over here? So why does it hinge on faith?
I'm talking about the permanent, the perishable and the imperishable. All I'm seeing is the perishable. But for me,
No, within the perishable, you are also seeing the perishable and the imperishable. In every stage, that's why this example was given. At every stage, there is something that is more perishable and something that is less perishable. Right? So you fix your eyes on whatever is less perishable. Now, what should I fix my eyes on? What is less perishable? That's it. Yapashyati sapashyati. You see it, sees it. So basically, you cannot superimpose self on anyone, right? You cannot say, look at this. It makes no sense. But what we can do is stretch out our vision as much as we can. That we can do. Like,
That-
okay.
that requires a sort of abstraction.
No, why abstraction? It's a very practical thing. For instance, suppose you have a quarrel with your husband. But he is your husband, he's going to be with you now for the next 50 years. So you say, chodo yaar, ye quarrel, I have to live with this guy. Eventually, we all do that, right? That's why our marriages continue. Kya kare iske saath? Because what are you going to do really? Or your child, what are you going to do? Even if he does whatever he does, he's continue to be your child. Right? So when we have the longer vision, things just don't throw us off our equilibrium so much. Even a delay, a traffic jam, everything is enough to agitate.
This verse says that the Supreme Lord is abiding in all beings.
Yes.
Now, look, that is a jump, no? To think that it is the Supreme Lord, because, okay, I can understand that the power of, I don't know, I mean, like we had, earlier we had concrete gods, like, so that jump from, I can see the power of water, fire, uh, but I cannot, like, this is a huge abstraction leap to make here.
So don't, no? Why are you worried about that?
Just see the relative longevity of something.
Yes. The more we train ourselves to see the longer picture, the more the intellect develops to see more and more and more and more. It is the nature of the mind, fortunately or unfortunately, that whichever direction you go, it will go more in that direction. So if you are able to set your sight straight, then the mind will go more there. It will want more of that, which will help us.
Right, okay.
But if you go the other direction, shorter and shorter time periods, mind will go more there. And the smallest, simplest things will bother us so much.
So what we are doing here is that making the distinction between what lasts and what doesn't last, and matter we know doesn't last.
Yes, but amongst matter also there's a gradation.
Right.
So we can't just do matter and spirit because sometimes that's too big a leap for us.
But we are still abstracting them. Like I'm thinking of the relationship, which is an abstraction. Actually.
So if you can accommodate it, intellect, then please, then that's why he's saying, ya pashyati. He who sees it, sees it. If you can see it, good for you. If you can't see it, now what do? Then you do as much as you can.
Thank you.
Because you can't force feed growth on people. Guru Vavadhanam Mahadava. That's what Shankara says. Slowly, slowly, very slowly. Yeah, Prem.
Ma'am, when I have dreams, so my parents have gone long back, but in my dream, I'm not aware that they've gone. So they're there. So I have created a world. In that, everything is me. I have created, but I'm telling I'm myself that this person is different. My father is different. Others are different. I'm creating all that, and the whole thing is going down. Now a new world has come. So now I'm thinking I'm different. I'm this, and everything is there. And this is also going to go, and again another world is going to rise. So what is permanent is something else. This is not permanent, which is coming and going. So what is permanent is what we are talking, right, ma'am?
Yes, if you can associate with the self and understand the permanence of that in a way that it is your daily life and daily experience, that's great. Okay, because then you have conquered everything in this world.
The only thing, in the sleep it is not coming. Now in the waking world, I'm thinking, yes, this is, but the same thinking is not coming. That in the sleep also, this is, see, this will also go down and the thing will come up. Another world will come up. I'm not saying that in the sleep. I don't think so. I'm saying that.
Why would you want to see that there?
No, if I'm saying that also, then I won't be affected by the sleep also.
Wait,
The
first
dream
you
world, I
handle
won't
this
be
world.
affected. If something happens in the dream world, I say, it will come and go. No problem.
Never mind dream world. Let us deal with this world first.
This
Can
world
you
is okay. I understand. When I'm conscious, I understand. Yeah, just like dream, it will come and go, and it's coming. I saw the dream. It will not last. And I'm just believing myself I'm separate individual and all that. I'm having that understanding. But when the dream world I'm not having, I don't think I have that understanding. Because as soon as the dream was over, I felt so bad that my parents are gone. They're no more with me. It was so real. They were there with me. They're not gone. And then when I wake up, there's a pain. Oh my God, the reality is different. If only in the dream world I had known, come and go. It's all not. Then it would have been a lot more better.
No, this pain is not of the dream world. This pain is of this world. Because in this world, you know that they are not there. It's not in dream world what happened. It is.
In the dream world, they were so real, man.
Yeah.
They were there with me, and I had no clue in the dream that they've gone. Sometimes I get an awareness. They're gone. What is this? They're
Okay,
coming.
wait, Prem, stop. We don't need to worry about what's happening in the dream. We need to worry about what's happening here because we are here and we cannot, if you can associate with the idea that there is only the self, then there won't be any agitation because of the absence of your parents. Right? But if we use the idea just to cover up our pain, then that will not work. So therefore, what we should do is be more practical about it, if possible, which is always deal, at least in the world, with more permanency. Right? What are more permanent? Saving is more permanent than spending. Maintaining relations is more permanent than destroying or getting angry with people all the time. You see, so in the world itself, there are many levels of permanence. And if we can associate with the highest permanence, very good. But most people cannot. So therefore, we must understand these verses with reference to where I am now, so that it benefits my life, and then I move one step every day upwards. Okay, just having these notions that everything is a self, it doesn't change lives. We have to grow into that.
At some point, when the thinking is always here in the waking world, it will percolate into the dream world also.
Oh my God. Yes, it will percolate. But why are you worried about the dream world? Let's deal with this world, no? Okay, yes, fine. If you think enough about something in this world, yes, it will come in the dream world as well. Okay? Now, where were we? Right. So, what is the consequence of the previous verse, if we understand it, is
Identification.
identification. What is the consequence of identification?
Janki we can say objectivity also or no?
Yeah, you can say objectivity. But yes, correct. You can say objectivity. Intellectuals will gain objectivity. I mean, the intellect gains objectivity, the mind gains universal affection. What is the consequence of this?
You don't get agitated. You
Peace of
identify
mind.
with the other.
Peace.
End of all agitations, not surface, deep down in your own heart. You are equanimous with it. Right, Deepraj. Peace. Not the false peace of, sitting for 10 minutes in meditation or forcing yourself to not feel agitated. Not that false peace, but the true peace, which is just there with you. Abiding peace. Now, this is what the point of this verse is. Very important sort of idea in this verse, second idea, is this concept of ya pashyati sa pashyati. He who sees it, sees it. The thing about life always is that people are seeing something, believing something, thinking something. Those who are believing or thinking that are thinking that, and those who aren't. Now, in दोनों का मेल है ही नहीं. Suppose there's a person who says 2 plus 2 is 6. Another person says 2 plus 2 is 10. A third person says 2 plus 2 is 22. A fourth person says 2 plus 2 is 4. Can these people discuss with one another and come to a conclusion? If you start discussing whether 2 plus 2 is 10, is 4, with a person who's claiming 10, who is the bigger idiot?
2 plus 2, man. 2 plus 2, 4. Who is saying he's mad?
Yes, you know, there's a very famous story that there's a donkey, okay, and the donkey had a fight with the tiger. The donkey said that the grass was purple, and the tiger said that the grass was green. Are you mad? The grass is green. You know this story? It's a very popular story. There is this donkey who says the grass is purple, and tiger who says the grass is green, and they kept fighting over it. So finally, they went to the king to get the final decision. So this donkey and the tiger arrive at the lion's house, and they say that this stupid donkey, he's saying the grass is purple, and the donkey says the stupid tiger is saying the grass is green. So, O Majesty, please solve our case. Is the grass purple or green? So, the king, that is the lion, he says, the grass is purple. And give this tiger 50 whiplashes. So the tiger, and then the donkey was very happy, and he jumped and he danced and he went away. So the tiger said, but Your Majesty, you know that the grass is green. He said, why you whipping me? I'm correct. He said, no, you're wrong. Firstly, you're arguing with the donkey. That's first error, for which you got the first 30 lashes, 20 lashes. And the next 30 lashes is that you're stupid enough to bring it to me and waste my time also. So 50 lashes for you. Yap pashyati, sa pashyati. He who sees it, sees it. If you go about arguing with a person who doesn't see it, you're wasting your time. The donkey is also wasting the donkey's time, right? Because he's never going to convince the tiger that the grass is purple. So, yap pashyati, sa pashyati is one of the ways of recognizing that he who sees it, sees it. There is no point my saying. You have a simple example is you'll all come to class, as I can see over here, all very, except for iPhone personal. I don't know who is iPhone personal, and I see that quite often. Almost everybody in this class. Oh, there's an iPad also. Who's iPad and who's personal? Okay, other than these two people who I don't know who they are, everybody else is people I know. You all are serious, dedicated students of Vedanta. You all have been coming to Vedanta class for a long period of time. You have no doubt tried to tell your family and friends, this is a fantastic thing. You must come to class. You told all your family and friends that. How many have arrived over here? Yah pashyati, sa pashyati. You think it's fantastic, or at least I think you think it's fantastic. But can you get anyone else to see that? They think it's terrible. But can they get you to see that? Yah pashyati, sa pashyati. He who sees it, sees it. Bharat, that knowledge and ignorance can't communicate. Yes, it can be knowledge and ignorance, it can be ignorance and ignorance, cannot communicate. Cannot communicate means you cannot convince anybody else about it. You have to follow what you think is correct. Nobody else is going to follow what you think is correct, just as you don't follow what somebody else thinks is correct. You do what according to you is right. We got 50 whips. Yes. You'll get more if you try to convince people some more. Okay, is 28 clear? It's a very simple verse. In theory, it's very simple. Everything is made up of spirit and matter. If you're able to attune to the spirit, if you're able to see the avinashi in the vinasha tattva, in that which is going to be destroyed, if you're going to see that which cannot be destroyed, if you can see that the Lord rests in all things, then he who sees it, he who sees this, sees the truth. He's talking about, if you're able to see it, then you are a person of realization. Otherwise, just as clear as it is to the person of realization that all this world is the self, it is just that clear to us that all this world is not divine, but a big mess. The same world for the Ajnani is samsara, and the same world for the Jnani is divine. Same world. You remember the poem, Six Blind Men and the Elephant? He said, to me it's mighty clear. This elephant is very like a fan, is very like a tree, is very like a snake, like a rope. So clear. So the growth of objectivity is to understand that you cannot convince people. Then how do we live with people? Have you ever thought of that? If I can never convince anyone how right I am, then how can I live with anyone? I do not discuss theory. If at all I have to live with people, I have to discuss what?
Ankit, could you repeat that? I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat
I
that?
said, if I have to live with people, I cannot discuss theory. The self, not self, and all I cannot discuss because I cannot convince them, they cannot convince me. Then what can I discuss with people? What should I discuss with people?
Practical, the reality, by example, the way you are.
Okay. What I can discuss is an action.
That's it.
I can negotiate on actions. I cannot negotiate on theories. So I can say, so suppose I say that I think watching movies is very stupid. Somebody thinks, I think watching movies is great. Now, can we convince each other this thing? We can't. So what can we discuss? We can only discuss, should we go to the movie today or not? So if I say, no, I don't want to go, but now I'm tied to this person, right? I cannot have it my way all the time. So what do? I say, okay, I negotiate. I say, okay, I'm willing to go with you for a movie maybe twice in 6 months. And that person said, no, twice is too little. I want every month. Well, you can negotiate how many times you're going to see the movie. But you cannot negotiate on whether the movie is a sensible thing to do or not a sensible thing to do. Since we have to live with people, we have to negotiate. We have to negotiate
Actions.
actions. Do not please try to negotiate theory. It won't work. All right. So,
Janki ji,
Hmm.
I study and reflect, but I still find it very hard to identify with a permanent fact of a relationship instead of the impermanent fact of an argument. So, like, is my intellect growing at all?
That's a very genuine question. We all feel like that. We all feel, is my intellect growing at all? Once Swamiji asked the question. I mean, not this particular thing, more general in the sense that I'm studying, I'm reflecting, I'm doing my sadhana. you can say I'm studying, I'm reflecting, I'm doing my karma yoga. I don't know about what bhakti you do, but you're doing karma, you're doing jnana. So many things I still feel are beyond what I can conquer. So he said this, gave a very nice example actually, which I have always remembered, and I'll tell you for what it's worth. He said, imagine there's a plate and there are lots of scratches on that plate. Some are deep scratches, some are superficial scratches. And so you start cleaning out, start rubbing it, scrubbing it, so to get rid of the scratches. The superficial ones will go quickly, but the deeper ones will take so long, you'll start thinking, is anything happening? But you're not noticing that the superficial ones are gone, that second level have gone. Now the deeper ones are there. Wherever we have a weakness maximum, that will last. No, it is not going to go soon. It's going to take its time. Cannot expect that deep. When I say weakness, I don't mean it in some negative sense, but wherever the scratches are deep, the desires are deep, it takes time for us to deal with it. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's not overnight. I've been attending all the retreats also. I've come for so many years also. It takes time. But at least notice everything else which you're not talking about because it's gone. That is where you're going to see the change. What used to bother you long time ago. Oh yeah, I remember that used to bother me. It doesn't bother me now. Okay, so is your intellect growing? In all probability, but you'll be able to see it across the board, not in the very deepest things that have been an issue for me. And each one has different things in them. For women, it is very often relationships.
So can you repeat the last line you said?
You said last line. I said for women, it's very often relationships.
No, before that, the very deep, the deeper things will take longer.
Correct.
So I should not be focusing on that. I should be looking at across the board developments.
Yeah, because you'll see in other areas things that actually you won't see it because you've forgotten about them. But occasionally, you may get a chance to notice, oh, that used to bother me. Now it's not bothering me.
Thank you.
Janki ji, as per this verse, now I can recognize imperishable self in all perishable beings. That means I am self-realized. It is mentioned here, fourth line.
You can recognize very good, then you are self-realized. The question is, can you recognize? If you can, then you self-realize. He's defined it for you. But can you recognize?
All 29 people are self-realized.
Well, as soon as the class is over, they'll find out whether they're realized or not. Now you are living in, where are you? Bahrain, right? Where did you say? UAE somewhere, no?
Saudi,
Where are you?
Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia.
You're in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Now, while you're there, you think you're realized. Come back home, be with your family, then you'll find out exactly how much realization there is. Okay, so saying it in class, I see the Avinashi, very easy. Go home and see it now. It's not what you say, it's your actual experience of life.
Okay.
Right, so shall we move to verse 29? Anybody has anything further in this one?
Ma'am, you gave a practical suggestion that you're living with a family, and then what you negotiate is only actions. Don't talk about philosophy or anything like that. Should I do this? How much I should do this? Decided I'm going to do it. How much I'm going to do it?
Family everywhere. Work, family, neighbors, everywhere.
Isn't something non-negotiable? Like suppose someone wants to have a drink with me and I don't want to have. There is a question of negotiation there. I have a strong value judgment. There I have a very strong value judgment.
Okay, so
I'm not going to.
that's how you negotiate. You say, I will not drink with you, but I will come for a movie with you. Or I will come out for dinner, you drink, I will eat. Or I will have my drink, you have your drink. That's negotiation. What you're willing to do and what that person is willing to do, you all have to somehow agree on something.
So only thing we don't talk about the why. Why you don't want to do that? That we don't talk. That's it.
That's a waste
That's
of
my decision.
yeah.
I don't want to do it. That's all.
Yeah. There's no point explaining to anyone who's asked you for an explanation. They are not interested in whether you drink or not. What do they want? They want their desires fulfilled. So you try to fulfill whatever desires of theirs you can.
Their desire is I should drink. So what? When their desire is like that, how we can fulfill that?
That's where negotiation comes in. So if a person, let us say, has 10 desires from you, if you are able to fulfill 8, 9 of them, one, they will also say, Chodo yaar. People put up with us. People have been putting up with us all our lives. It's not like they're not putting up with us. But we have to maneuver our way also so that, it's a harmonious thing. Nobody is expecting perfection from anyone. You're not expecting perfection from your family. They're not expecting it from you. What everybody wants is that my desires be fulfilled. That is what everybody wants. So now that all of us have our desires, whatever they are. Okay, say my desire is I want to promote Vedanta. Let us say my husband's desire is that he should be left alone and in peace. Okay. Now, if he is watching his television and I'm promoting my Vedanta, where is the problem? Right. So as long as you are fulfilling 60, 70, 80% of people's desires, they will put up with it. If it goes below 20, 30%, they will freak. This is a common thing for all human beings. So do other things. There's lots of, I'll tell you something. There are some women who actually do a lot for their mothers-in-law. And the mother-in-law is never happy with them. And there are some women who do very little for their mother-in-laws, and the mother-in-law is very happy with them. Because you also have to be a little sensible. Instead of killing yourself doing things for people, do the things they want. Nobody's asking huge sacrifices from us. Nobody's asking for it. They don't care. What they want is their desires fulfilled. So you keep on the, above 50%, and they'll put up with anything from you. Okay.
Don't the expectations rise?
I mean, depends on how you are playing the game. Yeah, of course. If you're just saying yes to everything they say, yes, you are walking into a trap. But we are not talking about saying yes to everything they're saying. We're talking about negotiating. You must know your own desires, right? You're not just agreeing to what people say passively. When you agree to what people say passively, that's when you create all this mess. There's an active, what should I say? There's an active consideration of what is going to happen. It's not just like okay, you want it, chalo le lo. It's not like that. It's exactly how you deal with your own mind, you deal with other people's mind. You give in sometimes, you don't give in sometimes. Same game that you have to play with yourself, you have to play with everybody else. Mm-hmm. Yes, Mamita, each one of us thinks we are the tolerant ones. Yes, that's correct. We are putting up with people and they are putting up with us. Yeah, Naim.
Jankiji, as you said that we shouldn't be discussing the philosophy, but discuss the action. But if our actions are very consistent, doesn't there come a time when people themselves ask, why do you do what you do? And that time, do we share our philosophy?
If they want the philosophy shared. If that is the implied question in asking them. but not otherwise, because you're just walking into a trap.
So if we are consistent in our actions, people do become curious to ask, why do you live the way you live, right? If you are consistent in our actions.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can take a poll in this class. How many people, can you all raise your hands? You have hopefully been consistent. How many people have been asked, why do you live the way you live? Can you all raise your hands? Let us see. We can do a quick fact check here, Nine. Let us do a quick fact check. Can you all raise your hands? Have you all been asked? What? Okay, one, Momita. Who else? Surekha, two. Not Deep Raj. Milind, three. 9, 4. Huh? Mahesh has not been asked. Okay, you got 2 versus 4. Who else? Nobody else is replying. What do we understand of this silence? I don't know.
Janki ji, that's it. I'm not raising my hand means no. I think the single guys get asked this less.
Oh, is it okay? But Mahesh is also saying no. So if you all think no, then give a
Janki
thumbs
ji.
down.
Why are you like this is part of the same question.
Depends on whether Sheetal is asking it or somebody else. If
Okay.
Sheetal is asking why you like this, I doubt whether she's referring to what Naeem is talking about. Okay, Naeem, you have your answer. So you have to either assume that these people are not consistent in how they are behaving, A, or B, having been consistent, they have not been asked. Okay? We can do quick facts checks.
Janki ji,
Yes,
sometimes I ask myself the question, am I different than the others? Is something wrong with me? Because I cannot identify with so many of them. So, not that people ask me, but I ask myself the question.
Yes, sir, Kinnari, there is something wrong with you. Otherwise, you will not be attending Vedanta classes. Normal people don't do this kind of thing. Something has to be wrong with us. We are asking questions that the whole world is not even interested in. It's like, why do you want to know? Like, what is reality? पागल है क्या? Just eat a good ice cream, सो जाओ. What is reality? Now, we are not normal. Let us accept it. And let us be thankful that people are willing to live with us in spite of the fact that we are not normal over here. What are unnecessary questions? What is God? What is God? What have you got to do? You pray in the temple. Hey, and he'll give you what you want. Now, what is God? What is the question for all that? What answer is there to these questions? There's no answer. So, yes, Henry, all of us are a bit crazy. And now we are a bit crazy. So, we are very happy and grateful that other people are willing to live with us. And, not say.
Glad I'm not alone.
Okay. All right, Naeem, are you okay? You did a quick fact check.
Yes, Janki ji.
The thing is, whether you're consistent or not, most people are not even looking at you. They have no recognition of what you're doing. They don't care what you're doing. None of this. They are interested. Every being is interested in only one thing. Is my desire being fulfilled? If you are fulfilling their desires, they will feel good towards you. If you're not fulfilling their desires, they will not feel good towards you. It is as simple as that. Are they noticing you otherwise? No. Do they care what you have worn, what you speak, how you lived? No. They don't know you exist. Just as you don't know they exist. Philosophy is they're recognizing that all this exists. And if all of this exists, then what really exists? What is real over here?